Welcome to Monday. Welcome to Countdown Day. This is going to be a very interesting one. This is the top 10 MP, and of course third-party MP, so MP and MP scaled Transformers that are the most animation accurate. Last week we did the most animation accurate non-MP Transformers. And a few people had a few complaints. In fact, before we actually do get into the list, I'm going to talk about a caveat or two from a clown or two. I'm also going to give a little bit of an apology and an addendum to last week. And then we will be doing, as voted on by fans, the top 10 MP and MP scale Transformers that are the most animation accurate. That'll be our topic this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share. Of course, subscribe, and while you are at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton and lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that's in the description down below. Also in the description down below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is, as I said, voted on by fans. It will be the top 10 MP/MP scaled Transformers that are the most animation accurate. And a few things to note. So last week, we did non-MP animation accurate. And so one clown on Facebook kept saying, well, obviously the top of this list is going to be third party. I said, well, is it though? Because is there a lot of third party that's more animation accurate than the main line in terms of being non-MP? I said, if we're talking MP, yeah, I get it. A lot of third party would probably gain some traction. And the guy came back and said, there is absolutely, his words, there is literally nothing done by Hasbro that's as animation accurate as anything from third party. That's not true. That's absolutely, positively not true at all. To say such a thing is foolish. And honestly, in terms of companies that don't do MP, unless we're talking Legends, there's very little that'll even touch something that would be mainline scaled sized. MMC being one of the few, but there's not a lot out there. Maybe APC, for example. And if you are going to say, well, some of the Legends look more animation accurate, yeah, they probably do. But were they going to get the votes? Were they going to get the support? I mean, I do agree, for example, that the New Age Seekers, they look super animation accurate. The New Age Starscream, super duper animation accurate. But his scale is going to be wildly off for what a Seeker should be. So it depends on kind of how you interpret that. Maybe some of the third party ones do look more animation accurate, but a lot of them don't. And necessarily so, because they can't quite look animation accurate. Secondly, some clown said in the comments right here on YouTube on that video, I see, so this is nitpicking more than accuracy. I'm like, nitpicking is accuracy. The whole point is to be animation accurate. If something is not quite accurate, then you have to point that out. For example, Earthrise Optimus Prime made the list last week. And people that voted for him said he looks like the Siege, or sorry, the Netflix War for Cybertron model of Optimus. I would disagree and say, no, he doesn't. I think the Siege model looks more like the Netflix War for Cybertron Optimus. Some people said he is the most G1 mainline Optimus we have. Maybe, but to be fair, and I would agree with that for the most part. To be fair though, the silver on his shin vents, not animation accurate. The tires that don't turn in on the side of his legs, not animation accurate. The more rectangular shape of the windows on his chest, not animation accurate. So while he ranked, and I get it and I even support it, even I realize it's not perfect. Nitpicking is part of what has to be done to assess animation accuracy. To think it's something different is nonsensical and foolish, to be quite frank. Then comes the apology. Number 10 last week was the, I think it was Cybertron version of Jetfire. And I had animation next to a product image. I'm not really familiar with the Unicron Trilogy stuff, as we all know. I had no idea that there were multiple size classes for him. Apparently the picture I used, and I didn't realize this, was the Legends class one, which everybody agreed was less animation accurate. Apparently the, I want to say Ultra class, is far more accurate, as if it jumped off the screen. So I do apologize. I used an incorrect picture and a little bit of an incorrect assessment based on that. So, you know what? He's still ranked 10 because of the votes, but I should have used a picture of probably the bigger size class 1. That said, let's get to this week's honorable mentions. By the way, I'm going to note this now. Everybody always says, why don't you do this and that for MP? Because they tend not to get a big voter turnout. And before anybody says, yeah, well, a lot of people that come to your channel and stuff are more mainline collectors. Maybe. But you have to remember that this goes on, you know, the question goes on Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Threads, about 25 Facebook groups. It goes on the GotBot page. It goes on the channel page here. I don't know if I said Patreon. It goes on there. Like, it's all over everywhere. Everybody has the exact same opportunity to vote for what they want. The only limit that I ever put on is whatever is directly in the question. And some people will ask silly stuff like, they'll say like, well, you know, can I vote for this one? Yes, if you think that it matches the question, then vote for it. If you can't, or I need more information, I will say. Equally, some people that voted also would say something like, for example, MP Optimus Prime. That's great, but you didn't tell me which mold, because there's been a couple, you know, MP01, MP10, MP44. What Optimus do you mean? So I had to have some people that I asked to clarify, because there's more than one. Same with Megatron, same with Starscream, which I find funny for something that's supposed to be perfect. Oh, MP, you so silly. Let's do our honorable mentions. I don't have a clue how to say this right, so I hope I'm saying it right. The Jiangxing Transmetal 2 Megatron. Yes, that thing is splendid. Absolutely captures Transmetal 2 Megatron. The face sculpt is perfect on it. MP10 is an honorable mention. MP Ironhide, MP Optimus Primal. I'm surprised he didn't make it, because I felt the Primal was very spot on. Fans Toys Hannibal, which is their version of Cerebros. I find him more animation accurate to the Headmasters cartoon than to G1, but yeah, I get it. MPM Ratchet, MP Grapple. I agree with MP Grapple. A beautiful, beautiful look to him. And Fans Toys Huffer. All of those are the honorable mentions. They had votes, they had support, they did not make the list. Who did make the list? You know what we're going to do? We're going to kick things off as we always do with number 10. First, coming in at number 10, we go to Beast Wars and this guy. That's right, it is Beast Wars Megatron. Now, remember that this is about animation accuracy. It has nothing to do with articulation. It has nothing to do with transformation or build quality. It's all about the looks. I mention that because this guy is well known for having a bad breakage issue at the pelvis, which is kind of very detrimental, and you have to be careful with him. But in terms of the look, this guy looks like he jumped off the page. You can leave his tail on his arm, you can take it off his arm. Underneath, we have a mix of blacks and blues. On the main body, we have a beautiful purpley sheen with the silver detail on his chest picked out, the green detail on his thighs picked out. Every nuance is there, right down to even trying to mimic the somewhat, I don't want to say cell shading, but the look of his skin texture for Dino mode. The sleek head, the menacing grimace, the deep, foreboding eyes. Everything is here, right down to the toothbrush, baby. As accurate as you could possibly hope for Beast Wars Megatron. Fans felt strong enough that he was able to take the number 10 slot. Number 9 is an interesting one because it takes us to Fans Toys and this. Quietus, their version of Cyclonus, of course. And I admit that in terms of the, I guess the sculpt or the proportions or the silhouette, it's pretty darn accurate. As for the coloration, I do like that they use two different shades of, I'll say purple, even though it sometimes looks like a blue and a purple. Either way, you should have two different shades. I think all of the molding, all of the sculpting is pretty much ideal. However, I would say that the shade of coloring used is off. I let it pass, as I think a lot of fans let it pass, because it has that metallic sheen that looks gorgeous. As for the ears on the head, I think they should be up a little straighter. Though there is animation where they're angled out a little bit, like on Quietus. I do think that the face sculpt and the shape of the helmet kind of around the face and around the brow is absolutely perfect. I think the arms, the shoulders, the wings, the chest detailing, absolutely perfect. Even the way the thighs, the kneecaps, and the toes are done. If I was to levy one criticism, the only one would be I would probably tweak the color palette of the body. But even without that done, it's hard to argue with how accurate to the animation model Quietus is. They pulled off some sculpting magic, they pulled off some detail magic here to end up giving us a fantastic MP scaled Cyclonus. And he takes the number 9 slot. Number 8 sticks with fans' toys and this guy. That's right, it is Sovereign, their version of Galvatron. Very matching, very fitting after we looked at Quietus a moment ago. And honestly, this Galvatron is fantastic. There may be, and I'm super nitpicking here when I say this, but there may be a couple of very minor red details that should go filled in, but if it is, that's all that it really is. And arguably on the lower leg, on the shin, maybe that black should come down a little closer to the ankle. But honestly, who would look at this and think it's anything other than G1 Galvatron? The shape of the chest, the shape of the shoulders, the look of the face, the shape of the head, even the shape of the shoulder pauldrons and the angle that they're at is absolutely perfect. The molded in detail on his particle cannon is fantastic. He has the rounded bulbous look that Galvatron should have. About the only thing that he's missing is a Decepticon logo on his chest. Outside of that, he's about as perfect as could be, and the color palette is about as idyllic as it could possibly be. Enough fans feel that way that Fans Toy Sovereign was able to take the number 8 slot. 7 sticks with third-party MP scaled, and I can't argue with this. I'm not an MP guy, but even I have to agree with this because it's Deformation Space's Starscream. And like their Seeker mold is phenomenal. When you see it next to the MP52 I think it is. When you see it next to MP52, the MP52 looks very rounded, very bulbous, and honestly, the proportions look a little more animated to me, like a little more giant. I feel like what they have done with Deformation Space is they took the realism of the previous Seeker mold and combined it with the kind of animation take of the new Seeker mold and smashed them together to give us a fantastic looking Starscream. I feel like the silhouetted angle of the wings is perfect. I feel like the shades of blues, grays, and reds is ideal. I think the depth on the chest holes is about right. I think the face sculpt is spot on, right down to the little smirk. The only thing that I could levy as a criticism here, besides needing Decepticon logos, the only thing I could levy is in plane mode, kind of along the center of his back, you will see 2 red hinges. That's it. I kind of feel like those hinges should have been gray. Maybe they couldn't be because of molding, but like that's it. And that's struggling to try and find something that's not animation accurate. From silhouette to coloring, to design, to angle of the limbs, angle of the wings, everything just works for Deformation Space's Starscream that he is able to take the number 7 slot. 6 goes to victory, and this guy. That's right, it is MP Star Saber. Now, what's funny is the MP Star Saber, which is phenomenal by the way, you can get a version of Victory Leo. I want to say it's Simba. And I don't know if it's KFC, TFC, something like that. And I'm pretty sure that that's Simba, if I'm not mistaken, which had votes, by the way. I'm pretty sure that's able to combine with this to give you a version of Victory Leo. If I'm wrong about that, I apologize. Don't take me for fact with that. This is out of my MP and stuff. It's out of my wheelhouse, but I'm not sure. I feel like there's something that you can attach to this guy to make him Victory Leo. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I apologize. I don't need to be told a million times down in the comments. You guys that are into MP would know better than me. Nevertheless, I digress. This is by itself about the size of the combined mode of HasLab Victory Saber. It's the same size, say, as Death Source or as Siege Jetfire. It's basically a commander class size. The detail of where all the yellow belongs, the detail on the sword blade itself, the way he holds the hilt, his blue, white, and red layout, the angle of the antennas on the head, the shape of the faceplate and the crest on the brow, everything. The height of the shoulders, the thickness of the kind of red detail at the top of the shoulders. All of it absolutely phenomenal, absolutely perfect. And when you go to his ship mode, plane mode, whatever, just as perfect. Yes, functionally there are some articulation limits. Yes, I've heard of a couple of issues that are a bit janky when it comes to the transformation, but man, oh man, when you put this next to the animation model of Victory Saber, there's no doubting that this is a quintessential definitive version, and it was able to take the number 6 slot. And now a hush falls over the crowd as we have reached the ever-coveted, ever-popular halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, we stick with official masterpiece and this guy. It is Jetfire, or Skyfire, depending on which name you prefer to use. And I think this is an interesting one. I was excited about it. At the time that he came out, there was another one coming out. And we already had Fans Toys Phoenix that had been out for a long time. Now, I reviewed Phoenix and I hated it. I did not enjoy it at all. I didn't enjoy the product. I didn't like the transformation. It was broken at a package. I didn't like it, even though I know it's very, very popular. The other Jetfire that came out around the same time, I can't remember what company it was. I want to say maybe XTB, but I could be wrong about that. And I felt like the other company had actually captured the angle of, say, the chest and the shoulders and the face sculpt better than the official. However, fans did not agree because they voted for the official. In plane mode, the official's perfect. Right? The plane looks like Skyfire to an absolute T. In the robot mode, again, I suppose you would have to say it's perfect. Certainly from, as I'm looking at an image here, and the image next to me, the image I'm looking at here is the same image that's next to me. I can say that I think the blaster is perfect. I think from the waist down is absolutely perfect. I even think the shape and whatnot of the arms and the hands is perfect. I feel like the chest is angled, like the two sides of the chest, I feel like are angled a little bit too much this way. It should be up just a little bit more straight, but that's me. And I feel like the eyes of the face sculpt don't capture the look of the guy as well as some of the third-party offerings. Again, maybe it's just me. I also found the head of the Siege to be more accurate than the eyes of this one. I think the head is accurate on this one. It's just the shape of the eyes are a little more, I don't know, almond or something than I expected them to be. That said, look at the white, look at the red, look at the fold of the wings behind the shoulders, look at the roundness of the shoulders, look at the angle around the knees, look at the hips and the thighs. There's a lot here to like, and you know what? To pull off the transformation and the articulation that they did, I don't know if they could have honestly tweaked it to make it any better. If it ain't perfect, it's pretty darn close, close enough to take the number 5 slot. 4 takes us back to Magic Square, and this guy. It is Light of Peace, I think it is. Light of Freedom, Light of Justice, I don't know. Look, it's Magic Square's MP Optimus Prime. He's light of something. And you know what? This is about as perfect as could be. I can remember when this guy was revealed and we talked about it on GotBot Goes Live, and I said, this is the perfect Optimus Prime. If I was an MP collector, this is the Optimus I would get. I've heard that the transformation is very smooth and enjoyable. I've heard the articulation is fantastic. I believe the MP44 trailer can actually work with this, or maybe the MP10 trailer can work with this. It didn't come with a trailer. It does come with a matrix in the center. I think it comes with the axe and the ion blaster. I think. But the shade of the line around his torso, the white on the thighs and the pelvis, the look and angle of his yellow lights on his pelvis, the little bit of blue deep down on the lower pelvis, crotch area. I think the angle of the thighs and the angle of the legs, like just the way his entire leg goes, the gray on the toe tips, the size of the shoulder compared to the bicep and the lower arm. Down to even the shape of the fist hands and the shape of the brow of the head sculpt to the squared off faceplate. Like, it's perfect. If I was to levy one criticism, I mean, in the animation you don't see the matrix behind the chest windows. In this case, you can see the matrix behind the chest windows. Not a big deal breaker, and not something I would ever in a billion years complain about. But again, if you really want to nitpick, seeing the Matrix is not something you're supposed to do. That said, when you take this guy and you put him in truck mode, it is a super duper clean, perfect truck mode that actually doesn't have the red or the gray stripe around it that's on his torso. All that gets hidden away. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The only criticism I have heard about this offering is that a lot of people say that the plastic feels thinner and not as robust as they'd like for it to be. I can't speak to that. I don't know if it's true or not, but I know for looks, man, oh man, Magic Square nailed it. And they take the number 4 slot. And now we are into the top 3, and I think number 3 really surprised me, because number 3 is MP13 Soundwave. And don't get me wrong, I like the look of this for sure, and I'm looking at, you know, the image, the exact same image you guys are looking at. First things first, I did not count any of his cassettes with him. They were counted separately, even though I know in North America there was a version of him with all of his cassettes that came out, and that is about as definitive as can be. But because, you know, the rules and regulations state one person, one vote, I had to keep it to the main MP13. As I look at him, again, the head sculpt, the cannon on his shoulder, all very, very good. I would say, though, that I think the body is a little too squared, as weird as that is. It almost, for an MP thing, should be slightly rounder. The gold is beautiful. The black, you know, I guess being the chest, I would have preferred blue, but I get it, black. The silvers, the blues, everything is great. The shoulder detail, though, I don't think the shoulder, as much as I love it, I think it should stay there, I don't think the shoulder detail is supposed to be there. Other than that, I think everything else is about as perfect as could be. If this Soundwave is not a complete 10, then it's a 9.9. No doubt about it. It quintessentially looks like Soundwave. I have heard some people say that they find the thighs to be a little skinny compared to the rest of the body. But you know what? That's got to be an up to you thing to decide. I look at it and I think, you know what? I would probably, by rights, remove the painted detail on the shoulder. But that being said, I'll never complain about them adding more paint, you know? Yeah, MP13 Soundwave. One of the oldest MPs, but still a favorite among fans, with great articulation and an excellent transformation. What's not to love about MP13? Very animation accurate, and what's not accurate is super duper minor. And he takes the number 3 slot. Coming in number 2, we stick, of course, with our main MP line. We're sticking with official MP, and we're going with this guy. MP36 Megatron. Whether we're talking about his pistol mode or his robot mode, to say he's accurate does not do him justice. The guy is slathered in paint. The fusion cannon, even the red detail on it is perfect. The gray on the front of the shins, the black on the side, perfect. The entire silhouette, the proportions of the body, perfect. The look of the chest, the way it fits with the waist, the detail on the tummy, even the way that they managed to engineer and work his waist piece so that it looks perfect. The red on the arms, the head sculpt, the face, oh my goodness gracious. And then you can even change out the head with the battle damaged one and the chest with the battle damaged chest, and guess what? It still looks perfect. He comes with all of the accessories, from that one time that you could want him to have, from his helmet to the blaster he uses to shoot Optimus. Everything is here. I mean, MP5 was an embarrassment and not accurate, but man, did they fix it with MP36. Now, unfortunately, again, he's known for paint scraping, and he's known for some breakage, especially at the barrel when going to pistol mode. Assuming you can avoid that, although I think there may have been a KO that improved on those issues. I'm not sure about that. If you can avoid that, or if you want him for display and you never plan to actually transform him, then you know what? He looks splendid. This is the Megatron that MP fans waited for and had analogs up for so long. From MP5 to Apollyon to Despotron, was that the name of another one? So many MP inspired versions of Megatron, but none of them hit every single mark. Not like MP36, and he takes the number 2 slot. And now here we are, super tippy top, very tippy top, number 1. And number 1 is this guy, MP44 Optimus Prime. Let's talk about his trailer first. His trailer is perfect. It is not only Optimus's trailer, but the detail on the side is not the blue and white that we so often get. It is a full white line, which was what we saw most times in the cartoon. Not all. Sometimes we did have the blue and white, but most times it was just the full white line. The undercarriage, very animation accurate. Roller, super animation accurate. Inside the trailer, very accurate. We get his ion blaster. We get his axe. We get various hands. We get a matrix. We get everything that an Optimus should have. Then we get to the Optimus himself. Again, I feel like there's a bit of a toss-up here between this guy and the Magic Square one, because the Magic Square one does hit a lot of these marks. Here's where this one improves over the Magic Square. One, the chest. While both definitely nailed the chest and nailed the angles of the windows and the size of them, this one you don't see the matrix behind. I would also argue that the red here is a little more accurate, and this one has the Autobot, the white Autobot tempo on his left shoulder, as it should be. I think the hands here are, again, and the arms and the shoulders are, again, all proportioned exactly perfectly. I do find that the lower legs, I'll say, the knees and the legs, seem to have a little more going on with them than the clean look of the Magic Square. But I mean, again, the whites that are used, the angle of the lights on the pelvis, the little blue on the very lower pelvis, the overall proportions, it looks like he jumped off the screen. The head sculpt is the most perfect Optimus Prime head sculpt I've seen since V&R Optimus Prime, which is also a pretty perfect Optimus Prime head sculpt. Tons of paint. The little lights up on the chest, I'll call it. All of the accoutrement, all of the accessories, perfect truck, perfect robot. A bunch of money. The dude was super duper expensive, but you can't argue with how much they absolutely nailed the animation. Too bad his knee is known to crumble. Be careful about that. But in terms of look, you're not going to top MP44 Optimus Prime. And fans felt strongly enough that he was able to take the #1 slot. And that's 10 down to 1. Once again, I'm not going to lie, this was one of the smallest voter turnouts I've ever had. Everybody says, you know, do more MP, do more MP. Why? It usually gets low voter turnout. I don't think that MP is as hot as it used to be. I think it has its rabid fan base, don't get me wrong. And those that collect that way, you do you. I'm not judging. I'm just saying that I tend to either open things up to everything or do more like mainline stuff because it's just by the numbers, you know? Sometimes when we do MP stuff, I'm lucky to get 150 votes, which is a small sampling. But a lot of times when we do stuff that's mainline, I get anywhere from 800 to 1,400 votes. It's a matter of the numbers. What else got votes this time around? MPM7 Starscream, who I looked at recently. MP52 Starscream. MPM1 Optimus Prime. So the very first MPM Optimus Prime. TFC's Lio Kaiser. MMC's Super Cop. MP41 Dinobot. Unique Toys Peru Kill, which was their take on Age of Extinction's Lockdown. He's splendid. I think I mentioned Fans Toys Huffer. The Transart Transmetal Cheetor. I don't know if Transart is MP scaled or not, to be honest with you. MP Sunstreaker, MP9. Was that Rodimus Prime? He looked the part. Fans Hobby, Arch Enemy, their RID Scourge. Fans Hobby Athena, MP Tigatron. The Transart Black Arachnia. Optus Pexus, but I think Optus Pexus is more mainline, I think, but I could be wrong. So again, because MP's not in my wheelhouse, I had to kind of open it up when people voted like that. Fans Toys Variator, which is their gears. MP12 Plus Sideswipe. MP8 Bumblebee. MP Streak, I assume Silver Streak. Wei Jiang's Thunder Leader Optimus Prime, don't really know that one. Masterpiece Ultra Magnus, Masterpiece Inferno. KFC Simba did have votes. See, I said that. MP Buzzsaw, MP Laserbeak, MP Ravage. Not MP Rumble or Frenzy or Ratbat, oddly. MP Grimlock. I would disagree with that. I think the 86 Grimlock is infinitely more animation accurate than the MP Grimlock. MP1 Optimus Prime, again, ahead of its time and fantastic, but I don't think it's really animation accurate, but that's just me. Fans Hobby Power Baser, MMC's Assaultus, the combined mode of their Bruticus. MMC's Coulter, their take on Turn, and I believe that is Masterpiece scaled. Transart, Transmetal Primal version 2, and you remember I mentioned the Megatrons? Anyone remember Apollyon? That guy really did capture a nice looking Megatron, even though the build quality, especially on the arms, was rough. Them and even more had votes. Did your favorites make the list or not? I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, man, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, please hit the subscribe button, man. Stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, and don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do make a difference in the world. Yes, you do. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.